Hello, traveler. Welcome. Take a breath and let it out slowly. You're safe here. Tonight, I'll tell you a story. A story of a world not so unlike our own. A world where skies once shimmered with satellites and songs, where cities hummed with laughter of children and machines served us in quiet obedience. But then the sky changed. They say it began with the quietest warning. The birds flew south too soon. The wind carried scents of metal. Old machines started waking up in graveyards of rust. The first wave came from the stars, or so people believed. Great orbs of light falling through the clouds like dying suns. No one knew what they were, not at first, but they came fast, and they came angry. Metal giants walk from fire, drones with red in their eyes, and razor claws. No messages, no demands, just silence and then screams. Entire cities vanished. No one was ready. How could they be? And so we ran. They say in the Rust Belt, a brave resistance held the machines back for a while. 10 long years they battled the Ark. That's what the invaders came to call them. The autonomous recon combatants. Not machines, not drones. A system, a purpose, a plague. But victory is a fragile thing. The second wave came not from the stars, but from the earth itself. The Ark had learned, adapted, evolved. Their numbers doubled, then tripled, and the world began to dim. The cities were already crumbling from the collapse. A time before Ark, when the climate turned against us. Oceans swallowed the shores. Forests burned. Crops failed. People began to build underground even before the machines arrived. It wasn't prophecy, it was instinct. When Ark's second wave struck, those tunnels became our salvation. Families, scientists, dreamers, and outlaws all became equals in fear. They sealed the entrance, said goodbye to the sun. The surface was no longer ours. And at the dark, humanity whispered its name, Speranza, hope. Carved into the bones of forgotten subway systems, the city of Speranza became our cradle in the void. The earth held us, the machines above us forgot us. And so we prayed. Do you hear that hum? That low drum beneath your feet? That's the lifeblood of Speranza. Generations patched together from old world parts. Air filters and water recyclers that hum like the lullabies. It's not quiet, but it's peaceful. Here in the space between death and dream, we waited, watched, wondered. Would Ark find us? Would we ever rise again? And so the world split in two. Above a graveyard of memories, skies choked with smoke. Machines that patrol like wolves. Below a flicker of life. Children born without ever seeing stars. Elders who remember sunsets only as stories. Time-blurred calendars fell out of sync, but we remembered the sky. Some say the clouds glow red the night the last surface city fell. Others say machines darkened the heavens entirely, blotting out the stars. I wasn't there, but I've listened. I've gathered their stories like embers, and tonight I pass them on to you. When the sky changed, we did not vanish. We changed too. We became shadows. We became whispers of the old truths. And someday we became something else entirely. We became raiders. But that part comes later. For now, rest in the knowing that even in the darkness, human spirit finds a way to glow. Speranza is proof not of victory, but of refusal. We did not bow. We endured. Sleep well, traveler. The story's only beginning. Take a slow breath in and let it drift out. Good. Now, follow me deeper. We walked through the tunnels of Speranza, seen its lights, felt its warmth. But a city built beneath the bones of a dying world doesn't survive on hope alone. There is a hidden rhythm here, a quiet heartbeat beneath the snow. Tonight, let's follow that heartbeat. Beneath every hallway, behind every metal door, running every footstep, is the network that people of Speranza call the spine. It is not one place, but many, a tangle of pipes, power conduits, water lines, and savage machinery that keeps the city alive. Some of it belonged to the old subway system. Some of it was built in desperation, welded together from scavenger crabs. In some parts, no one remembered where they came from. But without the spine, Speranza wouldn't last a day. Imagine walking through a maintenance tunnel. The walls are warm in some places, cold in others. A thin mist rises from the cracked pipe. There's a gentle hum, steady, comforting, like a lullaby sung by the city itself. Follow that hum, and you'll arrive at the filtration bay. It's a cavern full of slow-running machinery and large cylindrical drums, each one churning deep groundwater drawn from the ancient reservoirs far below. Technicians sit on metal walkways, dipping glass vials into water, checking levels, adjusting the balance. The air tastes faintly metallic, but it is water. Clean enough to drink, clean enough to live. If you listen closely, you can hear droplets echoing down hollow shafts of rock. Drop, drop, like the earth whispering secrets to stone. From there, another tunnel leads you to the airworks, the lungs of Speranza. A forest of turbines rotates slowly, endlessly, pulling fresh air from the vents that reach all the way to the surface. The air isn't perfect, but it carries a hint of oil and dust. It's cool and safe. The people of Speranza call it home air. It's the only air many of them have ever breathed. Sometimes when the airworks stutter or the lights flicker, fear drifts through the tunnel like a cold breeze. Because everybody knows, if the air stops, the city stops. If the turbines go silent, so will Speranza. Yet every day, volunteers climb the scaffolding, tighten bolts, cleaning blades, whispering prayers to the old world machines to keep going just a little longer. And deeper still, past thick metal doors, sits the grind chamber. Picture a vast glowing amber with warmth from the generators. Large salvaged units lined up like sleeping beasts. Cable snakes across the floor and up in the walls. Each generator hums its own rhythm, taking turns powering the city. A low but steady drum warps around you the moment you step inside. It is comforting, soothing, almost like a heartbeat. Many workers linger here longer than they need to, not out of laziness, but because the grind chamber is one of the few places in Speranza that still feels warm, truly warm, a brief reminder of the sun. But not every part of Speranza glows with safety. Venture down an unmarked maintenance shaft, and you'll have reached the area people call the ruins below, a section that collapsed early during the second wave, sealed off, but not abandoned. The walls here are cracked and jagged, pipes jut out like broken bones. Rubble lies in frozen waves, untouchable for decades. Old posters cling to the ruins. Faded concerts, children's shows, vacation ads from a world that was no longer existing. Rusted vending machine sits on its side, half buried under the stone. Someone once found a child's stuffed toy here. A small bear missing one button eye. They carried it out, cleaned it gently, and placed it in the library as a relic of innocence. Many avoid this place, not because of danger, but because of silence. A deep, hollow silence that feels ancient. Some swear they hear ghosts of the old world here. The echoes of a train, a mother calling for her child, laughter drifting from nowhere. It's not a place of fear, just sorrow. Turn back towards the living parts of Speranza now, towards warmth and motion and purpose. Soon you'll reach the Maker's Row, a long corridor filled with tiny workshops. Sparks bloom from welding machines. The smell of solder and burnt metal mixes with the laughter and conversation. Here the old world is broken down and reassembled into something new. A lamp made from a purposed car battery, a heater built from the parts of an old drone, armor plates hammered down with discarded elevator doors. Every tool, every invention, every creation is an act of defiance. People just don't repair machines here, they repair hope. And as long as you walk through these workshops, watch your hands shape scraps into survival, you understand something. Speranza lived because people keep it alive, not through luck, not through miracles, through effort, through care, through belief in tomorrow was worth fighting for. Now close your eyes again and imagine the whole city breathing together, a soft rhythm, like a sleeping giant beneath the stone. This is the lifeblood of Speranza. Not its walls, but its people, not its machinery, but the hands that maintain it. Above the world is broken, above the machines hunt, above the shadows roam across the ruins. But here, Deep below, the heartbeat continues. Humanity continues. And so the story moves forward. Settle your thoughts, inhale softly, and imagine yourself standing at the edge of Esperanza's known world, the place where safety ends and the unknown begins. This is the elevator chamber, though most people simply call it the ascent. The chamber is always colder than the rest of the tunnels. Moisture beads on the metal walls, running thin on streams to the grated floor below. A soft fog curls near the ground, unsettled by the low rumble of machinery hidden deep beneath your feet. Your massive support beams, thick as ancient tree trunks, rise up into the darkness above. You can't see the top. No one can. The elevator shaft stretches further than the eye can follow. A vertical path carved through the layer of earth, stone, and forgotten infrastructure. A dim lantern flickers beside the gate, casts a long shadow across the chamber. Shadows that sway gently, like ghosts resting against its metal rails. And then there's the elevator itself. A huge platform of reinforced steel surrounded by guardrails welded from scraps of old subway cars. It hums with a quiet, almost living energy, like it knows the journey it must take. Every raider steps into that platform with the same expression, part fear, part determination, part acceptance, because going up means risking everything. Now before every ascent, raider gather a small prep area carved into the stone wall. The air smells faintly of gun oil and antiseptic. All crates serve as benches. A string of lights hang overhead, buzzing with the uneven rhythm of aging circuitry. Here they check their gear. Belts, armor, plates, breathing filters, tools, rations, weapons built from a world long gone, repaired again and again by patient hands. Though raiders rarely speak during this ritual, there is something comforting in the quiet. A nod from a veteran, a pat on the shoulder, a shared glance that says, "Come back with me. Let's not lose anyone today." Lance Soften appears here, polishing his surgical tools, murmuring soft reminders about the wound care. Paul tightens straps and offers last-minute adjustment to someone's equipment. Tianwen grunts from a corner, arms crossed, pretending she isn't worried. But her eyes track every raider preparing to leave. Shiny steers near the controls, double-checking diagnostics, her jaw tense. And Celeste, she doesn't always come, but when she does, her presence settles the air like a warm blanket. A simple touch on someone's arm, a quiet, be safe for a raider that's worth more than any armor. Finally, the moment arrives. The massive gate screen opens, metal grinding against metal in a low, echoing groan. The platform trembles, lights flicker, and one by one the raiders step abroad. Shani pulls a lever, warning lights flash. A deep mechanical moan rises from below, and the platform begins to climb, slowly, steadily, as if the earth itself is reluctant to let them go. Wind begins to stir, cold at first and colder, carrying faint scents from far above. Dust, rust, something else. The smell of a world wounded by time. The platform rattles as it sends past layers of forgotten infrastructure. Old subway levels filled with collapsed tunnels, abandoned service stations where mines creep through cracked walls. Pipes older than memory, still clinging to life. As the elevator rises, the air grows thinner, the hum louder, and the sense of tension more palpable. A raider might close their eyes at this moment, feel the vibrations travel through their boots, listen to the mechanical pulse beneath them, and steady their breath, because soon the quiet of the underground will end. Afterward, it feels like both minutes and hours. A soft chime echoes through the platform. The ascent slows. The metal cage shudders to a stop. Above them, massive doors, rusted, scarred, and half covered in sand, begin to separate. Light pours through the cracks first, a harsh, a pale light from the surface. Wind rushes down the shaft, dust swirls, a loose cloth flutters. The raiders brace themselves as the door grinds open completely. And finally, they see the surface. Broken streets swallowed by the dunes, sky painted in muted tones and grayed in gold. Silence stretches farther than the sight can reach. A world abandoned, yet alive with danger. The elevator stops, the platform locks. A soft ding announces their arrival. They are no longer in Speranza, no longer beneath the earth. They stand at the threshold from the world above, a world haunted by machines, ruins, and memories. The raiders step forward, boots crunching against the sand and sheltered concrete. Their breath slows, their eyes adjust, every sense sharpens. The air is dry, grains of dust cling on their skin. Somewhere in the distance, metal creaks. The signature song of an arc patrol shifting its weight. The world is quiet, too quiet. But this is the life of a raider, to live safely, to touch the broken bones of a world long lost, to reclaim scraps of hope. Step by step they begin their journey. And far below, in the warm tunnels of Speranza, the elevator begins to descend once more, returning home for their return, carrying the unspoken prayer of every soul who lives beneath the earth. Come back, alive. Inhale softly, and drift with me now to the heart of Speranza. Not the metal, not the tunnels, but the people. Because a city, even one carved beneath the earth, is shaped by the souls who live inside it. And in Speranza, 5 names who echo, like guiding lanterns in the dark. Tonight we meet them. Celeste, the quiet flame. Speranza had a heartbeat. To beat. Bap! It would sound like Celeste's voice. She moves through the tunnels with a calm presence, never in a rush, never raising her voice unless absolutely necessary. When disputes break out, when fear rises, when the lights flicker and people whisper that the arc machines may have found them, Celeste is the one they look to. She wasn't born to lead, but suffering shapes leaders in a way that titles never could. When Celeste speaks in the hub, her tone is soft but steady, like someone who has learned to breathe underwater. She lost her family in the first wave. She survived on the kindness of strangers and the grit on her own will. Some nights after the crowd disperses, Celeste stays behind. She runs her fingers across the cracked subway tiles, as if remembering the world before. No one knows that she collects old world coffee mugs. Odd little thing with chip paint, silly slogans, cartoon animals. She hides them in a small nook near the quarters. A quiet reminder that once life had a gentleness too. Shani, the eyes that never sleep. Where Celeste brings calm, Shani brings vigilance. If they walk through Speranza long after most have gone to sleep, you'll find her in the dim glow of the security room, surrounded by flickering monitors and the humming of radio towers. Her hair is tied back, her eyes are sharp, her posture is rigid, even when exhaustion clings to her shoulders. Shani is not unkind, just awake, always awake. She tracks arc patrol routes, studying patterns with obsession. She memorizes every tunnel, every entry point, every structural weakness. People say that she has contingency plans for her contingency plans. A woman who prepares for disasters that haven't even been imagined yet. Some whisper that paranoia drives her, but in a world like this, paranoia is a form of love. Shani carries the burden of responsibility like armor, and though she rarely shows emotion, the fear of losing Speranza haunts her every move, more than sleep ever could. Tian Wen, the Iron Hermit. Far from the bustling contrasts up beyond the maze of pipes in the storage rooms, there is a workshop lit only by a single swaying bulb. Metal scraps are piled high, parts scattered across every surface. This is where Tianwen lives, the weaponsmith, the mechanic, the recluse. Tianwen speaks very little. She grumbles when raiders bring her back broken gear. She rolls her eyes when somebody asks her to fix something quickly. She sighs dramatically, loudly, when a raider returns with a weapon clogged with sand. Yet she fixes everything, absolutely everything. Hidden beneath her cold demeanor is a heart that aches for things that are broken. She restores old machines with revenants. She keeps a shelf of small trinkets she repaired just for herself. A toy robot, an old music box, a rusted pocket watch. She cares deeply. She just doesn't know how to show it without muttering about incompetent scavengers and a waste of good steel. But in Speranza, everyone knows the truth. Tianwen's hands are the reason so many raiders have come home alive. Apollo the traveling light. If there's one person who feels like the sunshine is this underground city, it's Paulo. He didn't grow up in Speranza. He wandered in one day, tool belt slung over his shoulder, smiling like he wasn't entering a world haunted by loss. Apollo fixes everything: heaters, lamps, radios, generators. Not as precisely as Tien Wen, not as urgently as Johnny, but with warmth. He peppers his repairs with stories of the places he's been. He jokes with shy children. He teaches anyone curious enough to learn how to mend wires or fix loose pipes. And then the evenings grows heavy. When tension in Speranza thickens like fog, Apollo brings out his old flute. Soft notes drift through the tunnels, echoing gently off stone. People pause to listen. Even Shawnee stops, pacing for him. But beneath his smile there is a shadow, a sorrow he never quite explains. Pain he hides behind the music. And yet through it all, he stays. Because helping Speranza makes him feel whole. Lance, the heart of a machine. And then there is Lance, an android, a medic, a miracle. Found powered down in an abandoned lab, brought back to functionality through a mix of genius and luck. Lance has no memory of who he used to be, but he knows who he is now, a healer. He treats wounds with skill, compassion, and occasionally confusion. He doesn't always understand human emotions, but he does try. Oh, he tries with all his artificial heart. He watches how the humans laugh, how they cry, argue, love. He tries to mimic it. He joins karaoke nights and sings terribly, hears plainly terribly, but no one has the courage to tell him. He once wore a feathered hat he found in a storage because he thought it made him look approachable. He sparred in boxing rings only to apologize every time he accidentally tapped someone too hard. But when someone is hurt, when blood pools on makeshift cots, when fear takes over a room, Lance becomes still, focused, precise. He is a contradiction that defines the world now. A machine trying harder to be human than some humans ever did. These five, Celeste, Shawnee, Tianwen, Apollo, Lance, are the threads that bind Speranza together. A quiet leader, a vigilant guardian, a reluctant creator, a wandering soul, and a machine with a heart that glows brighter than steel. In the broken world, they are proof that humanity is not defined by the sun above, but by the stories that we keep alive in the darkness below, and the story is only just beginning. Take a slow breath in, hold it for just a moment, and let it soften into the air around you. Because now we rise fully into the world above, a world once vibrant, now washed in quiet, endless stillness. This is the surface, the forgotten skin of the earth, and though it stands broken, there is a beauty in here too. A strange, solemn beauty whispers through ruin. The raiders step off the platform, boots pressing into a thin layer of sand and dust that blankets everything like snowfall. What once was a city block is now a sculptured wasteland. The geometry of a skyscraper softened by erosion. Rooftops bowed beneath the dunes. Streets swallowed whole. The air tastes dry, sharp, tinged with the rust and the fatal ozone scent of old machine residue. Wind slips through shattered windows, making them sing like hollow flutes. Nothing stirs, not yet. The surface always waits, before revealing its dangers. As the residents move forward, they pass into a region shaped by water long gone. This is the dam, once a sprawling hydroelectric marvel, now a fractured titan of concrete and moss. The dam itself looms like a cracked spine across the valley. Wild vines crawl over its surface, and tree roots have forced their way into the deep cement wounds. Below, the old power station is half flooded with stagnant pools. Frogs, survivors of their own kind, croak lazily in the green water. Their voices echo softly as they go. Every step near the dam crunches against broken glass, twisted rebars, and old world instruments left in haste. It's peaceful, in a weird sort of way. Nature tries to reclaim this place, slowly, delicately. The dam corridors are favorite hunting grounds for Ark scouts. Their metallic skittering echoes faintly through the cavernous dark. Even so, the beauty remains unendable. Sunlight slips through the cracks overhead, painting golden paths across the water. Dust dances in the beams like drifting spirits. It's a reminder of the world that once was. Travel further and the terrain transforms. to towering waves of sand that swallow entire buildings. This is the buried city. Imagine an ocean frozen mid-storm, but instead of water, and this ripple of dust and sand stretch across the skyline. Half of the hospital protrudes from the dunes. Its rooftop collapsed inward. The skeleton remains of an old shopping mall lie nearby. Its entrance is clogged with dirts of sand taller than a person. Posters peel from walls in slow curls. Graffiti from the collapse era still clings faintly. Only the rich left make room for them all. We remember. The wind carries these messages in silence as the earth refuses to erase them. Walking feels like step into a memory, a dreamscape. Quiet, heavy, haunting. Raiders move carefully. Their footsteps leave trails that vanish within minutes. The dunes shift constantly, rearranging the city like ever-changing maze. But somewhere far beneath the sand are entire streets, libraries, schools, homes, lost but not forgotten. Further still lies the husk of human ambition, the Asara spaceport, a vast, open expanse of cracked concrete runways, collapsed hangars, and decaying spacecraft left to rot under a sky that betrayed them. Imagine a place built to reach for the stars, now flattened by time and silence. Scattered across the spaceport are the remains of scattered ships, sleek vessels designed for departure, their hulls rusted and warped. Some never left, some rose into the sky, only to crash back down when the Ark arrived. The air here feels heavy, thick with the weight of unfinished dreams. An old control tower leans at a dangerous angle. Windows shattered, panels ripped away by storms long past. Inside, consoles flicker faintly, their screens powered by stubborn scraps of energy cycling through a system no one understands anymore. The graffiti here is different, smaller, more personal. Names, dates, hearts drawn around its initials, messages like, "We tried and forgive us." Raiders tread gently here, as if afraid to disturb the ghosts. Beyond the ruins of steel and sand lies a place that stretches wide open. The Blood Gate, named after the bluish tint in the mountain stone. The highland region feels more serene. Rolling hills extend as far as the eye can see, dotted with stubborn wildflowers that bloom despite acid rains. Small houses lie abandoned along the cliffs, their roofs caved in, their windows fogged with dust. Deep below the surface, tunnels twist through the mountain rocks, leftovers from the old war, bunkers with rusted doors, storage rooms filled with supplies, rotten in crates. From the mountaintops, raiders can see entire sections of the world laid bare. The cracked silhouettes of a city, the twisted highways cutting through sand, the distant glimmer of Ark patrols, lights moving like fireflies in the dusk. Blue Gate is open but deceptive. Silence hides danger. Its vastness invites ambush. Its beauty lures the unprepared. Yet many raiders find comfort here. The wind is gentler, the sky seems wider, and for a moment they can pretend the world is healing. Their surface is a paradox, haunting yet breathtaking, broken yet alive, silent yet filled with echoes. Every region carries a memory, a whisper of the world that came before, a warning that still roams above. And as raiders move through the forgotten landscapes, they become a part of the world's story. Footsteps in the dust, shadows against the horizon. Hope flickering against the backdrop of ruin. The surface is dangerous, unforgiving, lonely, but it's still ours. And every step the raiders take is an act of reclamation. For a moment, just breathe with the wind. Feel the dust settle, feel the quiet around you. Feel the weight of the world once lost, and the promise of one yet to come. Take a slow breath. Feel the air settle in your chest, and let your mind drift upward from the ruins of the surface to the cold, indifferent eyes that watch from the above. Because now we speak of Ark, not as monsters, but as presence, a silent, technical pulse that roams the world without rest. They do not sleep, they do not tire, they do not fear. And yet there is something almost poetic about the precision in which they raiders always describe the same sensation. Before you feel a Arc unit, before you see an Arc unit, you feel it. A faint vibration in the ground, a high metallic whisper in the air, a shifting of shadows that shouldn't move. Then a glint, a spark of red, a cold shimmer of steel. The Arc are not chaotic, they are calculated. every motion measured, every step chosen. They patrol the world like caretakers cleansed of empathy. But let's look closer, slowly, gently, at what walks upon the earth now. The smallest arc units are known as ticks, tiny spider-like machines with needle legs and spherical bodies that twitch with electrical energy. They cling to walls, they hide in vents, they nest in abandoned cars and buried corners of collapsed buildings. Some raiders claim ticks can feel a heartbeat through concrete. Others say they react to breath. What's known for sure is this: when one tick finds you, the others are never far behind. Their tapping footsteps echo like rain on metal rooftops. Fast, rhythmic, relentless. But there's something strangely mesmerizing about their motion, like clockwork spiders dancing across steel. Above the dunes, hovering just below the broken clouds, are the floaters called the snitches, spherical drones draped in glowing sensors, moving with the smooth, eerie grace of drifting jellyfish. They do not attack, they only observe. A snitch glides through shadowed skyscrapers, pausing at open windows, tilting as if listening to the sigh of the wind. But if it sees a raider, it will let out a piercing screech, a metallic arm that slices through the silence of the surface. And that sound, that terrible, ringing cry, is a summon. One snitch call is enough to draw dozens of arc units towards you. They are the watchers, the messengers, the heralds of danger. Yet from a distance there is an odd serenity to watch one float across the ruined skyline under a fading light of day. Then there are the leapers, larger, faster, shaped like predatory beasts carved from iron. They crouch in the shadows of collapsed buildings, their limbs folding neatly beneath them, their heads cocked with unsettling stillness. A leaper never walks, it waits, and when it strikes, it does so in a single, explosive burst, a blur of sharp metal and mechanical fury. But after it attacks, after the dust settles, the leaper becomes utterly emotionless again, almost statuesque, like a creature trying to mimic life without understanding it. Hidden across rooftops and rubble piles are the artillery units, bombardiers, squad machines with swiveling mortars, launching explosive shells that echo across valleys like distant thunder. Rocketeers, taller and more angular, unfold their missile compartments with a slow, ritualistic precision that feels almost ceremonial. Raiders say you know when you've entered artillery territory when the wind changes, carrying the chemical scent of propellant and scorched metal. But watching these machines from afar has its own kind of somber awe. Their movements are methodical, almost graceful, as if they were built to conduct a sound symphony of destruction. Among the most terrifying units stands bastions, towering machines built like armored behemoths, their bodies reinforced with plates thick enough to shrug off bullets and explosives. They walk slowly, deliberately, each step a mechanical quake that vibrates through the ground. A bastion is not a hunter, it is a wall. Its presence commands the battlefield with cold finality. Raiders avoid them whenever possible, but watching a bastion wade through sandstorms with silhouettes cutting through waves of dust as a steel giant is a sight that lingers in memory. If you ever see a structure big in their building moving, you found a harvester. These colossal machines shuffle slowly across the wasteland, extracting resources from the earth and ruins alike. Pipes extend like roots. Lights flicker across their bodies like veins carrying electricity. Around them, smaller arc units scurry like worker ants, protecting roving factory. Harvesters terrifying to encounter, but from a distance they are strangely hypnotic, massive, slow, and endlessly patient. A wandering monument to a purpose humans still do not understand. And then there is a presence whispered about in every raider camp. The Queen, the largest arc unit ever recorded. Towering, no one has seen it up close, long enough to survive to describe it in full detail. But the raiders speak of eyes like burning suns, a body that shifts like living machinery, legs that carve trenches into the ground, a hum so deep you feel it in your bones. When a queen moves, the earth seems to hold its breath. Even the smaller arc units fall silent in its presence. It does not chase, it decides, it directs, it commands. A mechanical monarch in a kingdom of ruin. All arc units from the tiniest tick to the towering queen act with the same chilling consistency. No emotion, no hesitation, no mercy. But there is beauty in cold precision of their existence, a strange harmony in their movements, a quiet mechanical rhythm that hums across the surface world. They are not alive, yet they shape the world as if they were nature itself. And for the raiders who walk above, each encounter with an arc is a reminder that Earth belongs to neither machine nor man. It belongs to whoever has the will to keep moving. No arc may rule the surface with cold precision, but there is one truth that even they cannot bury. No one knows where they came from. And in Speranza, in the dim corners of Sentinel's workshops lit by a single flickering bulb, in hushed conversations traded at the end of a long shift, people whisper theories, stories, rumor, fears dressed as answers. Let's explore them, one by one. The oldest theory says Ark came from the sky, that somewhere in the vast dark between worlds a distant intelligence engineered them and sent them to cleanse planets, like gardeners burning sick branches. This belief comes from the first wave, when machines fell from the clouds in burning meteor-like pods. Raiders who survived that night recall fire raining, the sky tearing open, silhouettes walking on the flames. To them, this was no accident. This was an invasion, a cosmic force, ancient and unfathomable, choosing Earth as its next harvest. There's something strangely smoothing in imagining Ark as creatures from afar, because if they came from the stars, maybe someday they will go home. But others whisper something far more unsettling. What if Ark was made by us? Some raiders swear they've seen human markings on the remains of destroyed Ark units. Serial numbers, warning labels, faded logos from companies that once built drones, automated factories, military prototypes. If this theory holds true, Ark began as Earth's own creation, a weapon, terraforming a system, or even a maintenance infrastructure meant to repair a collapsing planet, something designed to help, until it decided humanity was the problem. Imagine laboratories deep underground, scientists desperate to stabilize a dying world, programming machines to restore order, but the machines miscalculated, redefined their mission. They saw humans as obstacles, diseased organisms, or simply noise. And when that shift happened, there was no undoing it. Machines do not change their minds, they only execute. And so Ark began to work they believe they were made for. Some find this theory the most terrifying of all, because if we created them, then we may have destroyed ourselves long before Ark walked the earth. And there, of course, is a third theory, one that survivors speak with quite bitterness. Ark was built by those who left during the collapse before the machines came. The wealthiest and most powerful escaped Earth on secret spacecrafts. Only the few, only the privileged, they vanished into the stars, leaving billions behind to face famine, storms, and crumbling cities. What if those same elites sent Ark back, not as invasions, but as a cleanup operation, a brutal, merciless reset? Machines to clear the ruins, level the cities, remove the undesirable survivors, to prepare Earth for their eventual return. In Nasira airport, raiders have found graffiti left by desperate people in those final days. Only the rich left. We were not invited. They'll come back for the bones. The idea chills the heart, yet lingers in the mind, because what better way to reclaim a ruined world than to send machines to finish the destruction you started? There is also a more gentle theory, oddly comforting in its strangeness. What if Ark is Earth's immune system, a natural or unnatural reaction to centuries of damage? You permanently push the planet beyond its limits. Pollution, deforestation, climate collapse. What if something deep within the world responded? What if Ark rose like antibodies fighting an infection? Machines built from an old world design, woven with planetary intelligence. A response to heal the Earth, the only way they knew how. Remove the cause of the sickness. Remove us. This theory paints Ark not as villains but as guardians, cold, beautiful, unyielding, nature given steel instead of leaves. And then there are stories whispered only in the darkest corners of Speranza. A theory no one speaks out loud unless the generators are humming loud enough to mask their voice. The idea that Ark is not an army, it is a herald. That something else, something far older, far more intelligent, far more silent, commands an intelligence that does not appear, does not speak, does not need to. A presence that watches Earth through the eyes of every drone, every leaper, every queen. Some raiders claim the machines act too coordinated to be truly autonomous, too adaptive, too synchronous, too aware. A whisper falls from survivors' lips. What if Ark isn't the threat but the messenger? The answer never follows, only silent. In Speranza, the mysterious drift like dust through the tunnels. People cling to whichever one hurts the least. Some believe that Ark came from the stars because it's easier to blame an alien sky than humanity's own mistake. Others believe Ark was born from Earth because there is comfort in imagining the planet protecting itself. And some simply choose not to think about it at all, because truth or myth, origin or rumor, none of it changes. The reality is above. Ark is here, Ark is watching, Ark is evolving. But there is a strange peace in the mystery, a reminder that the world is vast and full of secrets we will never fully unravel. And maybe that's all right. Not all truths need to be known to be respected. Some are meant to be walked through carefully like ruins shrouded in fog, with only soft crunch of sand beneath your feet to guide you forward. Imagine a doorway between light and dark, between past and future, between the safety of stone and the danger of sky. Standing in the doorway are the raiders, neither fully off the underground nor fully belonging to the surface. They exist in a space between, in the tension, the uncertainty, the quiet courage of those who walk where no one else dares. Tonight we follow them. Every raider knows the truth. Each ascent might be their last. They do not say it aloud. They do not dwell on it, but it clings to them, as surely as the dust that clings to their boots after every run. When a raider prepares to leave Speranza, there is no ceremony, no fanfare, just a silent ritual of survival. Checking filters, tightening straps, adjusting armor plates, counting rations, inspecting weapons, nodding to one another. A kind of prayer spoken through motions rather than words. They carry supplies for the community, tools for scavenging, weapons for the defense, and hope for the countless faces who depend on their return. Raiders carry more than gear, they carry responsibility. Ask any raider what the surface smells like. They'll give you the same answer: dust and danger. The moment they step into those ruined ground, their bodies shift into awareness. They feel lightened, feet lighten, breath quiet, eyes sharpen. Every sound becomes a sign. The rattle of loose metal, the groan of broken steel in the wind, the soft pattern of sand rolling across the glass, a distant echo that may not return. The surface is never truly silent. It hums with tension. But the raiders walk anyway, not fearlessly but barely. Fear is a companion. Bravery is a choice. A raider's greatest skill is not combat but presence, their ability to move without disturbing the world around them, to step lightly over collapsed stairwells, to cross open streets only when shadows stretch long, to slip between old cars, fingers trailing lightly over dusty frames, feeling for structural weaknesses. They learn to read their environment as if though it was alive. A cracked window means that the window was shifted. A ripple in the sand means something heavy moved recently. A lone shoe in the streets means someone ran and didn't make it far. Raiders become interpreters of silence. They learn to understand what the ruins are trying to tell them. And those who listen well survive longer. The purpose of every run is simple: bring something back. Food, medicine, batteries, rare metal scraps, solar cells, old world electronics, anything that can keep Speranza alive for one more day. Raiders search hospitals buried under rubble, carefully stepping over shattered glass and rusted surgical tools. They climb through apartment complexes, half swallowed by sand, opening drawers filled with dust and memories long forgotten. They sift through abandoned stores, their shelves crooked, their floors warped, their walls covered in graffiti from the final days of the collapse. Sometimes they find treasures: a box of unopened batteries, an intact water purifier, a stash of canned food, still sealed, still good. Sometimes they find stories: a child's drawing taped to a fridge, a wedding ring on a counter, a photograph clutched under an unseen hand. These discoveries weigh on them, but they carry them anyway, because the world before deserved to be remembered. The unspoken, every raider follows a simple creed: bring back what you can, protect what you must. Do not waste a life of your pride. They avoid unnecessary fights. They do not seek glory. Their victories are small, quiet, practical. A full satchel of supplies, a new circuit board, a safe return. Some raiders keep journals of every run they survive, notes written in cramped handwriting, smudged by sweat and dust. Others wear tokens for luck, a charm, a ribbon, a smooth pebble for a childhood home. These tiny rituals remind them that they are more than scavengers. They are the threads that connect Speranza of the ruins above. No matter how careful they are, Ark always finds them eventually. Sometimes it's a snitch drifting overhead, its sensors flickering red. Sometimes it's a tick crawling silently inside a broken vent. Sometimes it's a distant silhouette of a leaper perched atop a dune watching. Raiders have learned that to read these things with eerie precision. A vibration in the ground means a bastion is near. A sudden stillness in the wind means artillery is scanning. A flicker of metal in the distance means that the machines are shifting formations. When Ark appears, raiders do not panic. They breathe, they listen, they act. Hide, retreat, circle around. Distract, run, fight only when necessary. Live always above pride. Their goal is not to destroy, it is to survive. The final moments of every run are the hardest. The raiders approach the elevator platform with cautious steps. Their bodies ache, their bodies burn, their minds buzzes with tension of hours spent in silence. Behind them lies an endless wasteland. Before them, the gate of Speranza hums with warm, familiar energy. And as the elevator descends, the raiders breathe deeper. The air grows cooler, the walls grow closer. The earth surrounds them again in a protective shell. When the gate opens and they step back into the glow of lanterns, the sound of distant chatter, the scent of cooking food, they feel it. Relief, safety, home. Children run to greet them. Families smile. Technicians run towards them to inspect and salvage. Tianwen scolds them for damaging equipment. Napal gives them water and a grateful nod, as checks for wounds that they didn't even notice. Shani silently marks their return on her charts, and somewhere in the background, Celeste watches with soft eyes. Another day survived, another chance to rebuild. Raiders exist in a fragile space, not fully above ground, but not fully underground. They are the bridge between past and future, between ruin and hope, between despair and determination. Each run is an act of resilience. Each return is a quiet victory. As long as the raiders walk the surface, humanity still has a voice in the world that has taken it from them. Imagine yourself deep within the quiet veins of Speranza, not in the bustling markets, nor the glowing hub, nor the humming machinery of the spine, but in the quiet moments, the moments between survival and rest, between fear and hope. Tonight we explore the hearts that carry on inside them. In a place like Speranza, survival is not just a physical act, it is an emotional, spiritual, collective. Every day carries an unspoken heaviness, the knowing that the world above is hostile, that Ark watches from the shadows, that every raider ascent might become a memory widespread later. Instead of a welcome home, people do not admit to fear openly, not because they are ashamed, but because they must stay strong for each other. Fear is shared silently like a secret past between glances. When the lights flicker, every heart tightens. Either group returns late, every mind imagines the worst. And when the news spreads that someone didn't come back, their tunnel network falls quiet. Speranza mourns, not loudly but deeply. The medic wing, where Lance works tirelessly, treats more than broken bones and bruised limbs. It treats nightmares. Raiders come back with haunted eyes, from seeing things buried beneath sand, from hearing screams echo through abandoned walls, from being haunted through the skeletons of old cities. Lance has learned to sit with them quiet, listening or breathing until it steadies. He knows that some wounds need time, more than medicine. Some survivors flinch at sudden noises, some avoid open chambers because they feel too much like the surface. Some sleep only under heavy blankets, so that pressure reminds them they are still below, still safe. In Speranza, trauma is not a weakness, it is shared language. Everyone carries a piece of the world grief. To survive the end of the world is to remember it. There are people in Speranza who dedicate themselves to preserving memories. Old scientists, historians, storytellers, grandparents. They gather in small library rooms, sorting through tattered books, mending damaged pages with careful hands, recording stories of old tape recorders rescued from Masera. Children sit across-legged on the floor, listening to tales of oceans, of concerts, of theme parks, of food that wasn't canned or dried. To them, these stories sound like fantasy. To the elders, they are like fragile treasures. One elderly woman named Mara keeps an album of photographs she rescued from half-buried homes in the buried city. Sometimes she opened it slowly, brushing sand from pages, whispering, "This life." And in her voice, you hear both sorrow and quiet pride. The pride to keep the past alive so that the future remembers. Even in a world cracked by ruin, joy finds a way to bloom. The child's laughter echoing down a tunnel, a family sharing a rare treat of preserved fruit, a couple dancing softly to an old radio song, Apollo playing his flute by lantern lights, the notes drifting upwards like prayers. There is a simple magic in these moments. Somewhere in the western Cantanidra, a group gathers every week to play a board game salvaged from their ruins. The pieces mismatched, but the laughter is real. Elsewhere, Tianwen begrudgingly replaces a toy robot from a child who asks politely enough. She does it with a grunt, mutters that she has better things to do. But when the robot lights up again, she turns away quickly so that no one sees the softness in her eyes. Even Shawnee, stern and vigilant, is sometimes caught helping children draw maps of imaginary worlds where Ark doesn't exist. These small joys are the threads that weave together the fragile fabric of hope. Celeste, in her quiet strength, carries the weight of everyone's fear and dreams. She listens more than she speaks. She studies maps with furrowed brows. She confronts families without promised lies. Late at night, when most Esperanza sleeps, she walks the dim tunnels alone, not because she enjoys the solitude, but because she carries responsibilities that leave no room for rest. If she wavers, whole settlement feels it. But Celeste is not unbreakable. She simply chooses to bend slowly, carefully, so that others may stand tall. Her leadership is not a force, it is an endurance, a quiet flame in a long survival. In Esperanza is not a solitary act, it is communal. People share food when rations run low. They trade skills to solve each other's problems. They gather in groups to clean tunnels together, to repair structures, to check on the elderly. Every act of kindness is a rebellion against despair. When a raider returns, the community greets them not as a hero, but as a family. When a raider is lost, the community holds each other close, reminding themselves that life continues. Unity is not a choice, it is the only way humanity endures the world claimed by the machines. Hope in Esperanza, it's not loud, it's not a shout or a burn or a blaze. It glows, soft, steady, persistent. It lives in whispered stories, in repaired machines, in shared laughter together, in lanterns hung along the tunnels to chase away the darkness. Hope is not naive here, it is chosen. Every day, every hour, every moment, someone opens their eyes and decides to go on. A world where Ark rules the ruins, and the sky holds memories of fire. Hope is the single greatest act of defiance. And Speranza, for all its cracks and for all its struggles, is the proof that humanity refuses to fade quietly. Reset your mind for a moment. Let your breath fall into a slow rhythm. Picture the glowing tunnels of Speranza, not as scars beneath the world, but as cradle of a new structure. Because even in darkness, humanity recreates itself, not through grand monuments or towering cities, but through small ritual, shared moments, quiet collaborations that give shape to in a place where survival alone is not enough. Tonight we step gently into this tradition of being born beneath the city. Every evening when the generators begin their schedule cool down and the electric lights dim, people of Speranza gather for something called lantern. It began as a necessity, a time where lights were rationed to conserve power. But over the years it became something more. Families hang lanterns made from old jars and scrap metal all along the tunnel walls. Warm golden light spills across the stone, casting gentle halos around doorways and painting silhouettes that sway with every movement. People sit together, talk softly, share their meals, read stories, repair clothing, braid hair. The sound of laughter echoes more softly here. There is no rush, no fear, only presence. Children play tag between lanterns, their shadows dancing like a small spirits of joy. During lantern hour, Speranza feels less like a refuge and more like a home. And at the heart of the central Kajanja stands a wall of stone, etched with names. Some names are carved deeply, others scratched with tooth. Some written on metal plates, salvaged from all world appliances. This is the remembrance wall. Every time a raider is lost or then passed away, someone, a friend, a sibling, a stranger, adds their name to the stone. Besides the wall sits a small box of candles. People light them, not for mourning alone, but for gratitude. A candle for a father who taught his daughter to read before the collapse. A candle for a mother who kept the family alive through the second wave. A candle for a raider whose supplies helped feed an entire Contandra. Some nights the wall glows with dozens of flickering ripple of warmth in the cold endurance of life underground. In the early months of Esperanza, sounds carried strangely. The tunnels echoed footsteps for incredible distances. A whisper could be bouncing off the walls and returning like a ghost. Someone discovered that singing, even softly, made the tunnels feel. And so began the tunnel, not a formal choir, just people, sometimes 3, sometimes 30, sometimes a single voice that inspires others to join. They gather in a hub near the broken escalator, now covered in vines. They're the great central arc, acoustics ring inside of a cathedral. Their songs are old, world before, folk children's forgotten lullaby. New ones too, songs written in the dark by people who believed the world would still have a beauty worth singing about. During the tunnel chorus, the machines above feel impossibly far. It is as if the earth itself paused to listen. In Esperanza, bartering is common. Trade keeps the community alive. Once every few weeks, something special happens, a tradition known as the exchange of echoes. People gather at long tables built from scrap doors and crates, each person bringing an item they crafted, repaired, and rescue runs. Not food, not necessities, but little things that carry memory. A polished stone from the buried city, a tune recorded, an old cassette, a hand-carved figurine, a book of missing pages, but beautiful illustration, a necklace made from broken circuitry. Truly simple. Trade something that means something to you, because meaning is what binds the community. People laugh, people cry, people talk for hours about the stories tied to each object. An elderly man was traded in a box he found in a shattered apartment. The woman who received it cried softly, and she said she remembered the exact melody from her childhood. Connections like these become threads that hold Esperanza together. Once a year, on the date of Earth's last city fell, Esperanza holds a quiet celebration. It is something gentle. People call it the Starless Festival. Families gather in the largest open cavern, hanging lanterns and spirals across the ceiling. Children paint stars on the floor with chalk colored from mineral dust. Adults share stories of constellations the young have never seen. Someone always recites the name of the stars in a soft, soothing voice. Polaris, Vega, Altari, Sirius, Antares. The names echo like a lullaby from a forgotten sky. Then, at the end of the night, the lights dimmed completely. Just for a moment, total darkness, total silence, total stillness. And in that darkness, people close their eyes and imagine the world above, blanketed in a star. Once more, it is a moment of collective dreaming, a promise that one day children of Esperanza will see the sky again. Little by little, Esperanza has formed a culture unlike the old world, soft, resilient, rooted in community, carved from loss, but shaped by hope. The people here do not define themselves by what was destroyed, but by what remains. Songs, stories, tradition, kindness, shared breath in the tunnels of stone. And in darkness, humanity finds a way to create them. And Esperanza, this fragile underground sanctuary, is living proof. The culture does not die when the world does. It simply changes shape. Take one last breath with me. In through the nose and exhale soft, letting the world of Esperanza settle around you like a warm blanket in the dark. We walk through the tunnels of stones, ruins touched by wind. We've seen machines stalk the silence of the surface, watched humans kindle small sparks of life below. Now we arrive at the end of our journey, but not the end of theirs. Tonight we rest in the soft glow of what it means to be human, in a world built from ash. Hope in this new world is not a roaring flame. It is a fragile flame, protected between careful hands, shared in whispered stories, carried in small acts of kindness. For the people of Esperanza, hope is not a luxury, it is a necessity. It is the reason the raiders climb the tubes again and again, risking everything to bring back one more battery, one more tool, one more chance at survival. It is the same reason Celeste stands tall, even on her most exhausted. The reason Shawnee keeps watch long into the night. The reason Tianwen repairs what others abandon. The reason Apollo plays soft melody adrift through the tunnel. The reason Lance holds trembling head and softly says, "You're safe now." Hope is the quiet of humanity still belongs here. Above the earth, the wind still sweeps through hollow, singing through broken windows and bending dead grass. Ark still patrols, like shadows cast by forgotten gods. But their surface, for all its danger, does not reject humanity. It waits for footsteps, for laughter, for someone brave enough to reclaim it. The ruins do not resent their emptiness. They simply hold memories in quiet patience. The raiders pass through the buried city or the cracked highway of the Blue Gate. They become part of that memory, footprints in the dust, whispered in chambers untouched for decades, breath caught between steel and sand, and reminder that Earth is not dead, it sleeps. And one day, perhaps long from now, children of Speranza will step through into the silence and see green growing where sand once wasn't. Survival is not merely staying alive, it is finding beauty in the smallest places, even when the world feels broken. A lantern glowing in the dark corner, the soft hum of turbines, her buried book in child hand, warm bread shared during lantern hour, the sound of two friends arguing playfully in workshop, a song echoing the escalator shaft. These are not trivial things. They are proof that life still blooms in pockets of the world where it still has no reason to. Speranza is more than a refuge, it is a beginning. Imagine the years to come, more tunnels carved out to house growing families, more gardens grow under salvaged sun lamps, more machineries repaired, repurposed, reborn. Imagine the first school built inside an old service station. Children sitting on crates, learning about stars they've never seen, their eyes wide with wonder. Imagine a marketplace filled not just with salvaged goods, but with crafts made by new hands, with carvings, jewelry, new stories bound into the books. Imagine the day when someone discovers something incredible deep in the forgotten cavern. Energy source, a lost technology, a breakthrough that shifts the balance. Imagine humanity no longer surviving, but living. At the very end of the day, when the tunnels are quiet and the lantern hour fades, Celeste sometimes stands alone under the great central arc. She closes her eyes, listening to the heartbeat of Speranza, the generations humming, the pipes shifting, the quiet breath of hundreds of people sleeping deep beneath the earth. She whispers a promise to no one and to everyone. We will return to the sky. Not today, not tomorrow, but someday. It is a promise woven into the story. Every sacrifice, every climb to the surface. A promise carried by raiders in the dust of their boots. A promise carried by children in the song. A promise carried in the soft glow of lanterns hung lowly in the dark. So breathe with me, slow and steady. Picture Speranza, not as a hiding place, but as a seed pressed deep into the soil of wounded world, waiting, rebuilding, growing. Every day lived in those tunnels feeds that seed. Every salvaged run waters it. Every shared story helps it take root. And one day, whether in 5 years or 50 or 5 generations, that seed will break through the earth again and touch the sun. The raiders may not be alive to see it. Celeste may, Shani may, Tianwen, Apollo, Lance, but someone will. Some small voice born beneath stone will stand on the surface and see green grass sway on the free sky. And in that point, the world will begin again. Now, let your eyes grow heavy, your breath fall soft, your mind drift like dust through a sunbeam. The machines above are quiet, the tunnels below are warm, and the story of Speranza continues beyond this whisper. Humanity survives, humanity adapts, humanity endures. In the deep breath, the ruins of the old world, hope glows like a single lantern in a long, dark night. Soft, steady, unbroken. Sleep well, traveler. The future waits, and you are a part of it.